Hi and welcome to this week's GMBN Tech Show. Coming up on the show this week we have...
the new YT2S.
It's the new wheels from Hunt.
And a 155mm cranks from Hope.
And Reeb finally dropped the SST.
Yay.
So the other day we were talking about workshop rage, and what I mean by that is that thing that happens that just drives you potty in the workshop. So I messaged Anna after I just got a bit of frayed inner cable and it went under my fingernail, and I kid you not, it must have gone in like ½ centimetre under my nail, and it was the most painful thing. I'd rather you punch me in the face. It hurt so much. And then for the rest of the day I felt like I had my heartbeat under my fingernail.
Yeah.
Like everyone knows that feeling. God, it's horrendous.
Yeah.
You must have had some bad
ones.
Well,
of course, as soon as you messaged me, obviously I couldn't stop laughing. But mainly because I know how angry it makes you. Like for me, it's... So I work on my bikes usually at home. I don't have a workshop, so I'm usually bare feet, like in my dining room or something like that.
That's gonna be bad, isn't it?
And it is treading on stuff in barefoot. Like honestly, I could punch through a brick wall when that happens. It's just so angry. And I think it's like upside down plugs, or like, you know, when you've got Allen keys in that little sleeve and they're sort of like pointing up or whatever, and you're like straight on there like Lego.
Well, we're dropping stuff on the top of your foot as well.
Yes, like you and that hammer.
Me and the hammer. That is a true story. That did happen once, never again.
Or, okay, this hasn't happened often, but you know when you're putting on like the world's toughest tyre rim combo ever, and like you've practically like broken your fingers, lost all feeling in your hands, and like you've got sealant everywhere, you've probably bent the core like in your valve because you've been rushing, and then you put it on your bike and you realise that tyre's on back to front.
So that exact thing happens to me, not with a tyre back to front, but it'll happen 2 minutes before going to a ride, and it won't be my bike. A friend's like, do you reckon you could just quickly do this? Yeah, it's fine. And then suddenly 40 minutes later, you're swearing, you're sweating, you're like, just... and everything that can go wrong has gone wrong.
When your mate's like, oh, it's just a quick thing, help.
Yeah, it looks so much easier in the videos, and you're just like, the worst.
I've never done this, but someone has done it to me twice when I've been in the room, and that is blowing a tyre off a rim. And honestly, your ears ring for a good couple of hours afterwards. Honestly, I wanted to kill him.
So that reminds me of working in bike shops when you'd lend a punter a track pump, and you'd see him pumping, and you hear the tyre creaking. And for some reason, you start like back treading quietly like a mouse, thinking it's not going to happen. You hear it going...
You're like, stop it, you just stop it.
Just the best. So I did do one in here actually when we were filming a little while back. So we've got one of these heavy duty park work stands. It's like the sort of the pro one. And I had a bike in the stand. I lowered the stand and I pinched my skin.
Oh yes.
There's no getting away from it. And it's just like shouted the roof off the building.
I know really exactly.
And it just made riding for the next few days like really difficult, like massive like blood blister on the inside of my hand.
And yeah, this one isn't so much like angry, but there's nothing worse than looking in a thread and seeing that tiny little bit of metal, and you think, oh God,
here it goes.
Oh God, I've threaded it. What's happened here?
There's loads of things that we could go on. The list is endless. I'm sure you've done some horrendous things in the workshop that have made you scream and shout and want to punch through the wall and stuff. I would love to hear from you.
Yeah, let us know down in the comments below. So YT Industries have dropped not new bikes, but some new models of their favourites, which is the YT2S, the downhill bike, and their Dirt Love, their dirt jump bike. So check out on the screen now, that's the Core 4, the new YT2S Core 4, which looks suspiciously like a Yeti colour turquoise. But basically it is now their top spec, so they've now got Fox 40 Float Factory on there instead of the Performance, SRAM X01 DH, E13 LG1 Race DH carbon wheels. They've basically given you a choice of now 29 or 27.5, so it's a bit like their other models that have got the sort of live uncaged options there, and that will be retailing at $6,499. Not sure about the other countries, but yeah. And then the Dirt Love, I couldn't actually work out what was new and different other than it's got a Yeti coloured paint job. But maybe someone could help me on what's new there. But yes, yeah. some more models for them.
It's nice to see them still doing the dirt jump bikes, though, to be fair, 'cause that's where they started, the whole sort of young talent thing.
When I saw it, I thought, oh, they finally released that aluminium one that their athlete's been prototyping, but no, it's still chromalloy.
Hey, but they're doing good things, they're good value, and I really like the sort of, it feels like quite a hand-chosen spec on a lot of the bikes as well.
Yes.
See, some of the bikes have got Shimano and SRAM on them, which isn't that common, to be fair, amongst brands.
Well, they're basically matching the World Cup winning spec that were their athletes. Yeah. So 4 World Cup wins on that and 2 World Championships. So they're like, well,
says quite a lot, doesn't it? Good stuff. Okay, over to a UK brand now called Hunt. They make wheels. They make very good value. I'd say value wheels. They offer great value, not necessarily cheap wheels, but it's a real good thing. So they've got a new series of wheels called the Proven. So there's a Proven Carbon Race XC and a Proven Carbon Enduro as well. On screen you should be able to see the wheels, a few shots of them. They sent us loads of great stuff. So we're going to do the XC wheels first. Now they are really well considered. They're front and rear specific wheels, obviously, but with a bit more of a difference than you might think. So 29 inch for the cross country. They weigh 1,469 a pair, which is really competitive weight. And check this out, so it's a 30mm internal rim, so it's big size for a cross-country wheel, 22mm in depth, and they're built for bikes up to 120 in travel, so they're trying to class the wheels for intention of the user. You don't want to destroy them on a heavier travel bike, for example. Now they use cold-forged 1420 bladed straight pull spokes on them. They've got CNC machined hubs, 5-degree pickup, dual-sealed Revo bearings, and their boost, and they're $899. Now here's the cool thing. The Carbon Race Enduro wheels, they're available in 29, 27.5 and mullet configurations. You might have seen how to set the mullet ones on that Common bike built up. 1,920 grams a pair. And they're also 30mm internal, so the same size as cross country, but they're quite a lot different. So the front one has got a carbon layout tuned for compliance, so there's almost a slightly lighter build on it, whereas the rear one is for strength and durability. So they put extra carbon on there. I think it saves 61 extra grams of material on that rear rim, just for impact protection essentially. And they've also got reinforced spoke beds on them, so they've designed these things to be really hard hitting. They've got similar CNC machine hubs, dual sealed bearings on there from Revo, oversized T6 rear axle on there, so stiffer back end, more support for the bearings, so the bearings in theory should last longer. And the front uses 1.6mm central gauge triple butted spokes, and the rear's got 1.8. So slightly lighter build on the front for a bit more compliance, heavier duty on the rear. Now we've seen this from Zip with the 3.0 Moto wheels, and also from Crank Brothers with their wheels as well. I forget the name of those. Now the pricing on these is the same, so it's $899 in the UK, $1,099 and €1,169 in euros. That's the same for both sets of wheels. But in these you can also get a Super Boost pair. So if you've got a 157mm back end, $949, $1,149 and $1,239 in euros, and all of them have a lifetime crash replacement policy for the original purchaser.
Over in the world of Reeb, they have finally dropped that SST that I saw Jeff Lanowski on the prototype over in, if you remember, in
SST, anything like an NFT?
No, I don't know what
I was a bit
NFT
confused by this earlier.
So SST is the steel short travel. Steel short travel. So, sorry, Jeff. But yeah, basically it's their still short travel steel bike. It should be between their hardtail and their longer 160mm bike that they've got out at the moment. I think it was the Squeeb. Yeah, and if you check that out on screen now, so basically they've stolen the custom tube sets that they're using on their signature ridiculous hardtail. As you can see, it's kind of got this like skinny top tube and this really oversized chromalloy like down tube to it. But that's not the exciting thing. It's the fact that they're featuring the new SLM 3D printed hollow stainless steel chainstay yoke, chainstay clevis, and a rear dropout. So basically,
there's a lot of
what that means, SLM, as far as I'm aware from when I did the 3D printing video, it's like metal laser sintering, and they've 3D printed various parts and just made it stronger and lighter. So having, instead of CNC, you can basically build like a hollow thing or object that you just couldn't get out of a mold or CNC in. So they're basically saying it should be lighter and stronger, and having a good middle ground between hardtail and long travel. It's 29 only at the moment. Extra small comes in mullet though, strangely. Forks compatible with 120 up to 150 millimeters. It's a 4-bar linkage suspension system with a horse link and a flex stay in the rear, which I've not seen a steel bike do that before.
Still flexes, I guess, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, but they've intentionally made it sort of skinny and flexy. And it's coming at $3,150 for a frame only. That comes in Pacific Blue or City Lights, which is basically black with rainbow glitter as a standard colour.
That sounds great.
Or you can go up to 3,400 and get yourself a custom colour. So only a couple £100 for your own custom. And then full builds will be coming in the new year. And a Tram GX should start from £6,495.
Next up is from Hope. They've got their 155mm Evo cranks. So they're kind of targeted at e-bike riders, but as you know, I hope they do stuff for lots of different riders anyway. But here's the interesting thing. So a lot of people are going for short cranks. We've seen it with downhill riders. We've seen it for e-bike riders because they're trying to pedal the entire time. How short do you go? You said you like 165s and you struggle to find them.
I struggle to get them.
Right, so they say they tested 140mm cranks on World Cup riders and racers, but apparently 155 was the sweet spot between pedalling efficiency and sort of your position on the bike. You want to be central, but not too central that you're too high and all the rest of it. All the other specs remain the same as their previous Evo cranks, all machined from 7150 aluminium with 30mm axles and different sizes for cross-country, enduro and of course fat bikes and e-bikes. They include the axle and spider at £290 in the UK, €360 or $365 plus tax, or no spider, a little bit less. Decent cranks, lots of options.
I'm interested. I mean, I love 165 cranks, so whether 155 would be even better or not, I don't know.
I'm still into my 175s.
Over in the world of Kotick, they do the Escapade, which is their sort of drop bar off-road gravel bike pack and do-it-all bike. But they're doing a limited run in Reynolds 853 steel. So check this out on screen. It's coming in the popular lichen colour. It's like a greeny grey. Yeah, sort of like sagey pale grey. And also a brand new damson colour, which is sort of
Plum.
like a deep berryish, yeah. But basically,
sorry.
It's the same geometry and the same oval form tubing that they use in their current steel frames, but they are doing it the front triangle in 853. So they say it saves about 70 grams, but I guess the real benefit of 853 is it's just a little rugged and stronger. So yeah, and that will be available to order now. It's £999 in the UK. First deliveries will come in mid-October.
All right, quiz time. 3 questions coming at you right now. First question, YT Bikes stands for Young Talent. What was the first style of bike they made and why?
Next question is, what bike brand has a name that's an anagram for Doddy's favourite post-ride drink? I mean, I know you well enough to know, but...
And what's so special about Reynolds 853? Give you the answers a bit later.
Okay, comments from you lovely people. Last week we were talking about tech that divides, and everyone was super positive, so I really appreciate that in the comments. People saying what they loved. So we've got Dylan De Vries, who says, one thing I love on my Santa Cruz Mega Tower is internal frame storage under the bottle cage. Mullets are not for me because of having different size spares. Yeah, I think there was a lot of people in the comments that were like divided on the mullets, but that's a good point on the spares. David Gardner said, my 2021 bike came with 2.8s on it and honestly loved the feel of the ride on the Cotswold Stone trails near me. The only downside is that manufacturers never fully got on board, so either I stick to one of the few tread patterns out there, or I have to go down to 2.6s. Yeah, that's...
The 2.8s was a difficult thing. They didn't stick with it,
did it?
Yeah, I mean, well, the trouble was to get the tyre to be light enough to pedal nice, you had to be really thin and you sacrificed the sidewalls. I agree, they were cool, but arguably what Jonesy reckons, they're better on e-bikes because you put a bit more meat on them, you still get all the good stuff without the damage.
I know someone who absolutely swears by them.
Still.
Yeah, and he's tall as you.
Does he ride a single speed?
He
Hardtail?
doesn't. He's not one of those people.
Okay. Just checking.
I'll
like
tell
one.
you who it is later, and you'll be surprised. So Kuba says, wireless anything is love-hate for me. I don't think changing batteries and taking spares out is something mountain biking really needs. Not to mention they cost an arm and a leg. It is a bit weird us like taking batteries out on trails and in the back and beyond.
Yeah, I
get that.
understand that as well. Yeah.
Puffy LP4 says, I love the Intend upside down fork.
Yeah.
They just look stunning and feel so smooth.
Greg over at TF's got a pair of those. They feel unreal.
Do
I
they?
felt loads off the
Love to
bike
play.
before it shows, but never on the bike, and they feel unbelievably smooth.
As you know,
But they're spendy and very limited.
I hated the RockShox RS1s. Sorry, RockShox,
Yeah.
you do a lot of good stuff. I hated the RS1s, and I've never wanted to try upside down forks.
If you tried these, you'd want to try them properly. They feel incredible. Hey, you say
Cool.
you never really tried upside down forks. You've had lefties before.
I had a go on it. I don't know if it counts.
Of course it does. It's upside down.
Okay, does it track? Cool name. Does it track? The rubber slip-on covers for the brake levers. I love them.
Oh, God, I can't
Aluminium
stand those.
tends to pull out heat from anything it touches, even with gloves on. They are so much nicer on cool days. I hadn't even thought about that.
I used to use those when I was
As
a
a
kid.
warmer.
But it made you have to dial in your brake levers closer to the bars because it made
Really?
your
'Cause they
the
were so
brake lever
far
fatter,
away.
so it would make it further away.
Oh, they must be doing
And then
thinner
hit your
ones
knuckles and
now.
stuff. I'm sure someone does. I mean, I get why someone would like that, but I don't.
I want to try that. I'm going to try that. Andreas Lowe says, I love the tactical feedback from cable shifters, double and triple shifts. But I used to have the same opinion about touchscreen versus keyboard phones. Obviously, touchscreen wins now. Guess we're all bound to convert at some stage. I think that's a really good analogy
I think it
because
is
I'm
as well.
like, I really like shifting with mechanical. But
So here's an
touchscreen
interesting
is
thing.
good.
So Jonesy on EMBN, he can't stand using SRAM access versus other stuff. And bearing in mind, he's full on board with all the tech with stuff. And his reasoning for it isn't the way it works, isn't the way it shifts. It's that feeling of when you're pushing to change gear, you can sort of, you feel when it's about to go. You can hold it there and then decide when he wants it to change. Whereas when you're doing it with the button, it is instant, but you do have to learn how instant it is. It's a strange thing to describe, but he's just like, he can't make it work for him,
So
which I thought was interesting.
my worry, because I don't use access, I always have mechanical. Not because I don't think it's any good, but I do worry that what if I get something out of whack? Can I half push it in, or is it just always going to be smash it right into place? And
No, it's smashed into place.
it's almost tech has gone too far.
Ooh, throwing that one out there.
Topic for the next show, maybe.
Maybe. Yeah, what tech has gone too far? Let us know down there. This is Bike Cave. This is where you keep your bikes, whether it's a shed, the back of the van, whatever it is, we want to see it. Get involved. There's a link at the bottom of the screen. There's another one down there you can click on. Tell us about yourself. Take some pictures of your beloved bike caves and send them to us so we can have a look at them and share them with everyone else. So
you got?
first one this week's from Dump in Nelson, New Zealand. The place where dreams or nightmares are made. Building old bikes, custom bikes from all the dump parts. Always at the lowest dollar and restore before replaced. All bikes welcome as long as someone's happy. Loving all this stuff, actually. No way, you're an old school MBK subscriber. Cool stuff. Yeah,
That's
the Curtis
cool.
still got to mention, yeah. Do you know what? I was clearing out the loft the other day and it's up there. It's in a right sorry state. I keep meaning to some point get it down and sort it out, but let's have a look at what's in your garage. then.
Well, with a name like Dump living in Nelson, New Zealand, I'm not surprised to see surfboards
Wow,
hiding away in the
this
back.
is awesome.
Look at all that stuff.
There's loads of good stuff to root through in there.
You need
decent
some of
workspace.
these, all of these little holdy things for all your million bits.
Yeah, I've got a million bits. That old Santa Cruz over there. Cove at the back, Cove Stiffy, very nice.
What's this?
What's your 20-inch? Sorry, I was looking at BMX.
With
We've got
this-
a clunker as well.
Yeah, little. Is that an old rally or something?
Don't know.
what
Can't
that
make
is.
out what it is on the head tube there. It's an R for something. Hey, it looks awesome. GT Zaska or some kind of triple triangle GT. Could also be an Avalanche or something. Man, you've got loads of good old stuff in here. Cannondale F400s.
400,
Whoa,
a couple of Cannondales.
love it.
It looks like a
This is a
Porsche
proper
lover as
functional
well.
place. Dump throne. Is that perhaps where Dump goes for a dump? Is that a mobile toilet?
No, that's his name, Dump Throne, isn't it?
That looks like a portable toilet you put in the back of your van.
It is, yeah. I've got one of those in the back of my van, funnily enough. What is that?
Whoa, okay, so now we're on to William in Salinas. That's really close to Monterey and stuff, isn't it? Awesome, mate. Wow, so you've got San Andreas tucked away in here. Beautiful old bike that is. That was one of the original... Oh man, you've even got the Pro Stock brakes on that as well. So they're hydraulic calipers, they're floating rotors on them, and they were operated with regular brake levers. Yeah, they did I think 230mm rotor they were doing back in those days.
Oh, the Yeti Ultimate.
With a nice loop stays on there.
That is nice.
That is
high
sick.
pivot hardtail, that is.
So, but wait till you see the next few high pivot hardtail. Yeah, it basically isn't it. But look at the rest of this garage.
Oh,
How
I'm
sick
just
is
a
this?
Ford Mustang. I'm not even looking at the
I
garage
know,
anymore.
I know. And then the rattlesnake picture at the top there. So one of our creators actually at Sea Otter nearly trod on a rattlesnake, which is pretty funny. Not for him, he actually papped himself.
So I ran through the field, started it, and it came up in front of him.
Yeah, sounded good. Don't think he was too keen on going through the grass after that.
He was not, he nearly cried.
I'm
He's got
right.
a compressor on the back underneath the
I
flag.
like that you're admiring the compressor, and I was
Yeah,
admiring like just the cupboards.
Yeah,
Because they're
you know
going to be
what?
full of gold.
Yeah,
those.
I know. It's a shame he hasn't opened those for
No,
us. So
they're-
maybe they're all just riding clothes. Who knows? But it's such a good idea to have like some just cheap old wardrobes or whatever, because they almost look like school lockers.
Yeah,
which
I've
would be
got
really
3
cool.
lockers in mine. that
Yeah,
I've
I've
built in.
like a row of lockers.
My
That'd be
riding
cool.
gear is not allowed in the house, so it basically has to stay in there. But that's fine by me.
Yeah,
But yeah, that's awesome. I love seeing this stuff. New, old, cool tools,
yeah.
all the good stuff going on. Keep them coming. Okay, let's have some quiz answers then. So the first one was YT Bike stands for Young Talent. What was the first style of bike they made and why? It was a dirt jump bike. So the founder of the company, his name's Marcus, and he used to ride, well, he still does ride loads, and on a particular ride he saw a couple of young kids, I think they're probably 15 or 16, at a skate park on their bikes that were like sort of supermarket knockoff things. And he was seeing how well they were riding, but the bikes are really holding him back and the stuff kept breaking on them. And he said, why don't you, get yourself some decent bikes? And they were like, well, literally can't afford them. You can't get a dirt jump bike for under $1,000. So he was like, right, okay, well, that's going to be my new mission, is to start a brand. He called it Young Talent because he believed in the young people. And the first thing he did was make some, I think they were steel dirt jump bikes, which is great. And that's where the whole company started from.
The kids of the future.
Yeah, really cool.
So what bike brand has a name that's an anagram of Doddy's favourite post-ride drink? We mentioned them earlier. It's Reeb Cycles. It's actually beer spelt backwards. And that's not just because you see beer in everything and you just love beer, which you do.
I mean, for a minute I saw beer in here, but it's just water, unfortunately.
But Reeb Cycles were actually based out of an old brewery. So that's why they actually called it.
Dale's Pale Ale
Yeah.
it came from there.
Yeah,
That's
and
lovely
Oscar
stuff.
Blues as well. So
Nice. And the last question, what's so special about Reynolds 853? You can let us rip on this one because this seems to be a favourite topic at the moment.
I love a still bike, I do. It's air-cooled rather than quenched, so you don't have to... If you've ever watched anyone make a frame, usually when they're welding it up and they have to plunk it in a vat of water or oil or whatever, 853 doesn't do that. It's air-cooled, and actually the welds get stronger as they cool in the air as well. So 853 is supposed to be tougher for less material, so it's slightly lighter for the same toughness or slightly tougher for the same lightness.
I'll tell you what, all this talk of Reeb and beer and quenching has made me thirsty. Can you wrap this up so you can go and have a beer?
Quench a beer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right, enough from us. Thanks for watching the show as always. We'll see you next week's show.
Thanks, bye.
See ya.